Welcome to the Hood. I'm William Duvall, your host. Happy Valentine's Day to Milwaukee and the world. It's a day of love, day after tomorrow, of course. This is the Valentine's Day show, and it's also an anniversary show of sorts. Exactly 1 year ago today, on February 12th, 2025, I was released from the Milwaukee County Jail at roughly, it must have been around 1:45 a.m. It was very cold when I got downstairs. The building is, for the most part, sleeping. There are people up and awake and doing things, but for the most part, the building is quiet. And, on this day 1 year ago, a cold front was moving in, a winter storm, snow, very cold temperatures. I don't think we would really consider it a blizzard, but it was a lot of snow and a lot of cold. And once I got downstairs to the lobby, and of course, I did have someone picking me up, and that was tricky because you need to call whoever it is at a certain, once you know when you're being kicked out of the building, which is you're woken up in the middle of the night, said, okay, you're out, you're leaving. There's no in an hour you're going to be leaving, get ready. It's just instantaneous and sudden. So I called, and of course there's no answer, and I'm nervous, but I got downstairs, got my clothes, which was a suit because I had gone to court November 10th, and it wasn't really that cold on November 10th. It was chilly, but I wore a suit to court, and I knew that I wasn't going to be walking out of the courtroom that day, but there was a hope, and my probation officer led me to believe that, you'll be fine. Well, I knew he was wrong, of course, because he's not a lawyer, he's not a judge, he's just a PO who really doesn't know much, And, so I was taken into custody, of course, on November 10th of 2024, and then in a suit. And so when I came out on February 12th, of 2025, the weather was a lot different, and when you get downstairs in the lobby, there's a small bank of chairs, plastic chairs, and they're connected against a wall inside the lobby where it's it's in the middle of the night. There's nobody in there. There's a glass wall with a Milwaukee County sheriff inside the bulletproof glass, sitting. Acting as if you're not out there. He doesn't see you. He doesn't acknowledge your presence until I sat down in one of the plastic chairs, at which point he tells me, you can't sit in those chairs. You have to go wait outside. I said, outside? It's winter. It's cold. I don't have a coat. I'm waiting for my ride. You can stand inside the vestibule, the double doors. So I had to go stand inside the double doors, which was cold. Not as cold as completely outdoors, but this is how they operate, in the system. You got 4 empty chairs at 1:45 a.m. There's not a soul in there. You cannot sit in the chair. You have to go stand in the vestibule where it's freaking cold. Which I did, for a half an hour or 45 minutes until my ride came. And anyway, that was exactly a year ago today. It was a Wednesday. It was a very early on Wednesday morning. The 12th was Wednesday morning. Was a Wednesday, and I was, ejected from the facility in the middle of the night. That's how they do it. They don't let you go at 8 o'clock in the morning or noon time or 4 o'clock in the afternoon or 10 o'clock at night. it's in the middle of the night when it's most inconvenient. The buses are barely running, you know. And thankfully, I did get a hold of my ride downstairs in the changing room where they gave me my clothes. I had tried upstairs on the payphones, no answer. I finally got through, and she came and got me. So anyway, that was a year ago, and so I've I've been in the free world now for a year. I spent 3 months there at the Milwaukee County Jail on a 5-month sentence for a charge of drinking and driving under the influence, even though they didn't stop me. I wasn't driving. I walked into the police station and was arrested and charged for drinking and driving. Yes, I did drive to the police station, and they got me on camera. So they get you on a technicality. They'll get you some way, one way or the other. And the system has never stopped me for drinking and driving. They've only, gotten me sleeping in my car once, and then another time walking into the police station. And we won't get into that story. It's long, and I've already gone over it in previous episodes. And it'll take up the whole show, so we won't go there. But what I want to do here is talk about last year when I was released after 3 months. I was serving a 5-month sentence for drinking and driving at the Milwaukee County Jail. They wanted to send me to the HOC, the House of Corrections in Franklin, but I knew how to not be shipped out there, and communicated with the guys who check you in. I'd been there before. They recognized me, and they called up to Lieutenant Newman, who runs the inmate worker pod, and they yanked me out of the booking room and prevented me and kept me from being shipped off to the House of Corrections, and put me into the inmate worker pod 3D, where for the next 3 months I was a kitchen worker, and I worked for 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I reduced, you get an hour off your sentence for every hour you work. And I managed to reduce my sentence by 2 full months during those 3 months. And I think I'm very thankful that the program existed, because the inmate worker pod almost felt like one was not in a jail, because the people who are in that pod run the facility, cleaning every square inch of the building, all the cells, fold all the laundry, deliver all the laundry, prepare all the meals, deliver the meals, serve the meals, clean up the meals, etc., etc. And I worked in the kitchen 16 hours a day, 7 days a week. I did get a couple days off here and there, but for the most part, I worked for 3 months straight, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, and knocked off 2 months off of that sentence. So when I got out that day, 1 year ago exactly today, I had managed, Valentine's Day was just a couple days after. It's day after tomorrow, so it was the same last year. It was 2 days after my release, and being in the inmate worker pod, of course, we have phone access and way fewer guys in there, more phones, and we get all the books, all the magazines and newspapers are delivered into 3D, into the inmate worker pod, so we get first dibs on everything. So I get newspapers. I get, we get the Sunday paper every Monday, which is okay. And anyway, I learned about a wonderful concert that was taking place at the Bradley Symphony Center. And they do these concerts now regularly throughout the year. And the concert was taking place at the Bradley Symphony Center. Well, it wasn't a concert. It was a movie. It was a screening of the classic Humphrey Bogart, Ingmar Bergman movie, Casablanca. And the Milwaukee Symphony would play the musical score of the movie, in the background to the movie. So you're in the Symphony Center at the Wagner Theater on Wisconsin Avenue, where the symphony has been now for, 4 or 5 years since they moved in there to their new home. It's a beautiful place. And the place was packed to capacity. And I managed, being locked up, to, find out about this concert or this showing of Casablanca on Valentine's Day and get tickets. And so that I could take my wife to a Valentine's Day, date, to do something on Valentine's Day, which was, 2 days after I got out of jail. And so, that's what we did. That would have been Friday evening last year on the 14th. And it was just a fantastic experience. The symphony, it was incredible to be in this beautiful theater, this orchestra hall, with the entire Milwaukee Symphony Orchestra playing the music to Casablanca and having the movie on a giant screen, right before our eyes. And people in the audience, there was an intermission. And at the intermission, you go out to in the lobby areas and the different areas, and they have bars set up to get drinks and that kind of thing. And people in the audience were dressed in character, in Humphrey Bogart's character, which was in a white tuxedo jacket, and Bergman's character in gowns and things. And so it was a really interesting experience, kind of surreal, after having been where I was for 3 months, locked up with, in a maximum security jail downtown Milwaukee. Although where I was, it almost felt like I wasn't in jail, because I was in the inmate worker pod and I was in the kitchen every day for 16 hours a day. So I stayed away from the general population, and the majority. I really didn't have to go into the rest of the facility. I have already done that in my couple of other visits to that building. So having just spent 3 months, there, and then being in this absolutely, just palatial, ornate, completely brand newly renovated just a few years prior, and then the symphony moved into that's their new home. That's where they play, and being there with an absolutely capacity crowd. The place was packed to the gills. Everyone was dressed to the nines. Maybe not everyone, but it seemed like it. It was just surreal. It was unbelievable. And outside, we had gotten that snowstorm, and it was snowing that night again. So there was snow everywhere. It was cold, but it was just a wonderful memory. It is a wonderful memory right now, recounting it. Having gotten out, and then being able to, experience just something wonderful like that. It was a great experience, being at the screening of Casablanca with the Milwaukee Symphony a year ago on Valentine's evening. And after the movie and the performance by the symphony, which is all the same thing, we went to the Pfister Hotel and went to the top of the Pfister. Has a bar called Blue, BLU, and we had, they have some appetizers in a bar. You drink. You can drink up there. And of course, I wasn't supposed to drink because I was on probation, and whatever. But it was just surreal because we were up on top of the city looking out around amongst the skyscrapers, because the top of the Pfister is, I'm not sure how many stories it is, but it's maybe 15 stories up, 16. So it's not, one of the highest buildings, but it's midway up or a third of the way up some of the big buildings that you're surrounded by. And there were beautiful views of, overlooking the lake and the whole area over the city there downtown, and there was snow swirling around. It was really an incredible evening. So this year, we are not. There's no movie and symphony planned. We have just something simple planned. We have a dinner reservation, and I just was able to make that today. Luckily, they were booked solid, and they wouldn't take a reservation online. So I called and got the very last, hidden, kept secret table for two. So we've got something to do on Valentine's Day this year. So anyway, now what I would like to do is just read a little something from my notes from those days leading up to February 12th, the release day. And I'm gonna read Tuesday, February 11th. This would be day number 92. And here's what I wrote. I wrote, the day has arrived, the last day. 7.75 hours to be exact. 7 3/4 hours left. Duval, Flemmer said in her softest, raspy, hoarse voice. Time to get up for your final 7 3/4 hours. My eyes opened. It was 3:30 in the morning. I was wrapped in thin blue blankets, about 4 of them. Should I take the real pen down with me to write today in the kitchen? Do I dare take such a risk? I want to take the Pilot G207 fine point black ink pen that I have managed to get my hands on. It writes a bit like a fountain pen. I like it. I want it. It's considered contraband. We're not supposed to have pens of any kind in our possession ever. The only thing we can have to write with is well, you might be familiar with golf pencils, short little pencils. We were allowed to use those, order them or use them, get a hold of them. Those are okay. Do I dare take this pen downstairs on my last day? Tomorrow, I can use any pen I choose. Well, I don't know if I took the pen with me or not. That's just some notes I took, and I don't remember. I took pens downstairs with me, and notebooks and books and magazines and stuff all the time, and took notes. And I got caught once with a pen, and it was tricky to lie my way and wiggle my way out of it. Jail guard saw me writing in a notebook during a break in the kitchen, and you fall into the I don't know, you work with all these guys who you live with upstairs, and you also work with, there's a third party that runs the kitchen, a catering outfit, a company, and there are jail guards that are in the kitchen, of course, at all times, but they are assigned to the kitchen, so they're the same people every day. And there's 3 or 4 different, 3 or 4 different guards that are always the ones that are working the kitchen. And occasionally you might get, here and there, an oddball jail guard that doesn't work the kitchen, but for the most part, it's the same people. So you fall into this false sense of oh, I don't know what the word is, camaraderie, or like your coworkers, right? And you tell jokes, you smile at one another, you have greetings and salutations. Hi, how are you today? You smile, whatever. But they're not your friend. No, the jail guards are jail guards. And this woman, she saw me writing in my notebook, and came over to me and said, what are you doing there? And I said, just taking some notes. She goes, oh, where'd you get that? I go, what do you mean? She goes, never mind, I'll be right back. So I knew what she was referring to, the pen. So I got rid of the pen right away, right? And then she comes back and she goes, where'd you get that pen? I go, what pen? I don't have a pen. She goes, you just had a pen. I said, I don't have any pen. And this went on for quite a while. I mean, she didn't do anything. She didn't haul me out of there. But I mean, for something as simple as that, you can theoretically be kicked out of the program or just sent upstairs and disciplined, whatever, given what's called a 23, where you're, locked in your cell for 23 hours because you do something wrong. But you could be kicked out of the program as well and lose all of the hours that you've compiled to reduce your sentence. So the other thing I wrote on that day, let's see, it's Tuesday, February 11th, I wrote, it's breakfast time. Joanne gave me a very good coffee, Colombian or espresso. It was quite good on my last day, and it was the first coffee I'd had in over a month. Joanne and AJ made breakfast. Cash offered me seasoning. Miss Clinton, and by the way, Miss Clinton is the one who confronted me about the pen. Miss Clinton called me Mr. D, Mr. Duvall, and Bill, smiling. She never called me Bill, but she did that day. More and more guys gave me their contact info. Many want to come on my show. Harris, who is a female, she's a woman who works for the catering company that, runs the kitchen, runs the food operation there. Harris said she couldn't come on my show. I can't, she said, a blue mask covering her mouth. I know too much. I know all the secrets. Just tell me, I said. I can't. There's a code. Yeah, she worked actually for the jail itself for many years, apparently. I mean, prior, that's, and we actually became sort of friendly. She always wore a mask. You never saw her mouth or her nose. It's weird talking to a human being and never seeing their entire face, for 3 months, whatever. Also in my notes here, it talks about the French Film Festival, which was, taking place. It takes place at UWM at this time of year, right around Valentine's Day. And here it is again. Here I have the flyer, which is here at the radio station. We have flyers for the 29th Annual Festival of Films in French, which I knew more when I was locked up about the French Film Festival when it was taking place than I do now. I just found the flyer today here. The festival starts tomorrow, but I'm glad I did, because maybe we'll go to a movie on Valentine's or over the weekend or next week or something like that. So it's a funny world. It's a funny life. Funny life that I've lived. I don't know about everybody else, but I'm going to say this about my time there. If anyone thinks that being locked up and going to jail softens you or breaks you down or makes you more malleable, makes you more compliant. I think I can speak for myself. It has the opposite effect. It hardened me. It angered me, pissed me off. It makes me more defiant. I'm angry at the system. I'm angry at the judge. I'm angry at the cops. I'm angry at people involved in my case. And let me tell you this, the building is full. And that one building was 1,000 people, 1,000 guys locked up in there. And there's some women too, maybe 100 or so women. Maybe not that many even. Full of angry people. Not full of people who want to I don't know, turn over a new leaf. I mean, I'm certainly trying to do that, and with respect to my charges, which have to do with drinking. But let me tell you, most of the people in there are not happy to be there. They are pissed off. There's fighting. There's anger, hostility constantly. It's a battle zone all over the building. Unfortunately, I wasn't exposed to it at that time. I've seen it. I've been around. I've been in that throughout that building. And we did, trust me, in the inmate worker pod in the kitchen, there were altercations. There were times when people were gonna, throw down, as they say. And I had altercations, but I never got into anything serious. I because I don't put myself in those situations typically, and I'm more of a diplomat and a peacemaker, and I'm all about Valentine's Day, which is about love. I'm not about hate. I'm not about anger. But let me tell you, being in that building will create anger. Well, this has been an interesting half hour. It's Valentine's. It's the 1-year anniversary of my release. Never going back to that place, God willing. I've got till November 12th to finish my probation. This is The Hood, your deep exploration of the Wisconsin jail system. In case you were wondering, that's what we talk about here. I'm your host, William Duvall. This has been The Hood.